AITA for not making a second meal for a child? I, 30F, am friends with a couple, Mike and Sandra, 35M and 38F, and invited them and their child Charlie, 9F, over for dinner. Before they came over, I texted them to find out if any of them had any food sensitivities, allergies, needs, etc. The wife said there was nothing I needed to worry about. I decided on something a bit kid-friendly while still feeling like I was cooking for adults, so I settled on chicken parm with some chocolate cake for dessert. I figured it's like chicken nuggets mixed with pizza, which kids would like. It turned out really well for someone who's just started cooking like me. My friends were telling me that it was good, and maybe they were just being polite, but they ate everything. Charlie poked at her meal the entire time we were eating, and I'm not sure she ate any of it. After we were done, I brought out the chocolate cake. Charlie ate a tiny bite and immediately started bawling. Sandra asked her what was wrong and she cried that she didn't like chocolate. Sandra continued to comfort her daughter while Mike and I awkwardly ate dessert. A couple of minutes pass and I notice Sandra is glaring at me. I hesitantly asked her if I could help her with Charlie. I'm not good with kids, which she knows, but I wasn't sure what else to do. She huffed and asked, "Is there anything you'd like to say to Charlie?" It took me a second to realize that she wanted an apology for her kid not eating my food. I thought it might help cheer Charlie up at least, so I said I was sorry that she didn't like my food. Charlie started crying harder and her mom asked me if I had anything she would like instead. I drew the line there. I told her that I wasn't going to cook anything else, and that if I didn't like what my mom made me as a kid, I went to bed hungry. Mike is just silently eating his cake while Sandra tried to convince me to make something else for Charlie to eat. I stood up from the table and asked Mike if he would like me to wrap up his cake for him to take home because the rest of his family was apparently not having a good time. I suggested that Sandra could go home and make something for Charlie to eat. Sandra scoffed at me and said something about how I was cooking tonight and she thought she could have taken the night off. I knew I was about to say something I really regretted, so I slammed my plate on the table and told her to get out. Mike seemed genuinely embarrassed as they left. I haven't spoken to any of them since, and now I'm thinking I overreacted by kicking them out of my house. Edit. This happened about 3 days ago and I'm going to reach out to Mike today when it's not 4 a.m. Thanks for the perspective, everyone. Edit 2. Thank you to everyone for sharing all these new perspectives on this situation. I truly appreciate them all. Except the guy who told me to just not act angry next time. I reached out to Mike today to apologize for kicking them out. Mike apologized for everything. He said that Sandra's mother had been admitted to the hospital that day, so understandably nobody was really on their best behavior. He said they drove straight from the hospital to my house. He said he would have said something about it, but Sandra had asked him not to mention it then so she could focus on dinner. Which is totally fair. Charlie isn't normally a picky eater or spoiled or autistic or anything. She was just upset about Grandma. Why she latched onto saying she didn't like chocolate is really anyone's guess. Sandra's mom is doing better now, and while the family didn't behave at their best, I've got no hard feelings about dinner anymore. Maybe they're lying, maybe not, but I'm willing to give the friendship one more chance, though I probably won't cook for them again. My sil came to my house once with her kids and I offered to make spaghetti. She said that was fine. It was not. She ended up almost taking over my kitchen to make 5 different spaghettis. I couldn't use onions in my sauce. That's fine because a lot of people are picky about onions. One kid got noodles and sauce straight out of the jar. 2 kids had frozen meatballs she brought to cook. Only 1 kid had the actual spaghetti that I made once I was allowed to combine my noodles and the meat sauce I made. It took an hour to make an easy 30-minute meal. The next time I just made chicken nuggets and fries. They started complaining that the ketchup was bad. It was in date and tasted fine to me and my husband. I heard about this ketchup for years. I no longer cook for her kids. NTA, she was out of line. If she has a picky kid, she should pack snacks or food for her. Crying over chocolate cake. Ridiculous. You did nothing wrong. Mom was wrong. The kid is not your responsibility, and catering to her food issues isn't your job. NTA, her kid. Her problem. She didn't make any comment on the food for her kid when you asked. And you don't go to someone else's invite and demand other food. Also, 9 is old enough to talk, not cry at everything. Both of them need to apologize to you. NTA, you asked if there were any dietary restrictions or needs, and were very thoughtful to make things you thought would be appealing to a child. Expecting you to go whip up something else is entitled and extremely rude. The fact that a 9-year-old cried about not liking chocolate cake is also bizarre for me. Being able to politely say, "No thank you," sounds like a lesson Charlie probably missed because her mom was too busy making her new meals. P.S. Kudos on doing all this while you're still new to cooking. It sounded delicious. NTA. Chicken parm was a good choice. The problem is the mom. 100%. When we had a toddler, we'd carry backup food. Feels like they should be doing that for their whiny, pampered 9-year-old. NTA. Sandra set you up. If her kid's a picky eater, please only cook her white things sprinkled lightly with oregano you buy at 6 a.m. at the farmer's market, smothered in organic catsup you import from France. Type picky. She needed to tell you. Then she needed to bring the white stuff and oregano and heat it up herself. Or she needed to quickly apologize to you and ask if it would be okay if she nipped into the kitchen and hard-boiled her kid an egg or made her a PBJ. But what she didn't get to do is manipulate you to apologize. For what? Because her kid's a picky eater and she set you up, and she's a truly dreadful mother and a worse guest. P.S. Next time, do try to hold it together. As in, gosh. Since little Charlie doesn't like anything I've cooked and chocolate cake is so upsetting to her, and I don't have a single other thing to offer, you probably want to race right out the door and rush home instantly so you can fix her something. I'll get your coat. What kind of kid cries over chocolate cake? NTA, your friend Sandra is the ass. NTA. The entitlement of Sandra is astounding. She didn't parent her child correctly and expect others to cater to her entitled ass and child. The dinner you made sounds great. NTA, you reached out prior to the dinner. 9-year-old picky kid can eat when she gets home. Sandra was out of line. NTA. They should have said what the kid likes. And not, "Yeah sure, make whatever you want." Also, what the hell? Demanding cooking another dish? Get her a sandwich or some flakes. Not a private chef. Poor Mike. NTA. The amount of disrespect they brought to your table is astonishing. You were wrong to apologize. Poor innocent kid. Life will be difficult for her if she cries in front of chocolate cake. Not kid fault but bad parenting. Anyhow, I would never apologize for that. Dear kiddo. Not always we get things our way. Please try to eat if you are hungry or wait to get home to have what you want. You cannot argue a gift. When you pay you can set conditions. Edit. I read my comment and found errors with pronounce. I am sorry, it was a mistake in good faith as not native English speaker. Not meant to offend anyone. Correcting as I see them. NTA. You purposefully asked Dandra about food preferences. She listed none. How can she make you apologize to the kid for her own pickiness and her mom's lack of thought? Asking you to cook another meal is so over the head. They could have ordered takeout if it's such a big issue. What? This is insane. What kind of person would behave like this? Sandra sounds like she has never participated in society before. That is how out of line and embarrassing her actions were. And sadly, she is raising an entitled brat of a child. My biggest question though is, where was Mike in all of this? Is he the one you are friends with, or you're friends with Sandra also? The whole thing seems odd because I mean, how could this be the first socially inept behavior from Sandra? Is there really no track record? NTA. If their kid was that picky of an eater, they should have brought food for her and told you not to worry. Also, the mom sounds hugely entitled and is doing her kid no favors for their future, expecting everyone to cater to their needs. Good for you for having boundaries. Honestly, sounds like you handled it well. NTA. I have a picky eater. If my child doesn't eat what's there, I'll feed her something at home. No harm, no foul. I do generally suggest what we can eat, but I don't make the hosts feel bad if she won't eat. NTA. Firstly, the kid is 9, not a toddler. Kid is old enough to politely try some of the food even if it's unfamiliar. Secondly, Sandra said there was nothing you needed to worry about. Not, she doesn't like chocolate cake? So if me or my friends are feeding each other's kids, the person hosting will say, I'm planning to cook X. Is that a problem? And the other person would say yes, no, kid is fussy about whatever beforehand. Not on the day. We need an update. NTA. If Sandra suspected her child might have trouble eating somewhere, the onus was on her to take the opportunity offered to tell you her kid doesn't like chocolate, won't eat certain textures, etc. Hell, at the very least she could have asked you what you plan to make, and if she knew her kid wouldn't eat it, brought something from home, demanding you apologize, then cook her kid a whole new meal because she failed to inform you what her kid would eat is appalling. No wonder Mike just sat there in silence. I'd have been humiliated if my spouse acted like this. Maybe reach out to Mike and only Mike. Tell him you are sorry for how dinner went down, only insofar as his child crying. Because honestly, she's a kid. It's not her fault. She was hungry and upset, and that's on her mom. But clearly state what Sandra said and did was over the top, rude, and you expect her to apologize for her behavior. Then just let it go. If the guy never replies, welp, do you really want to be friends with someone who just sits there in silence while his wife is rude to you, then says nothing after? NTA. Sandra knew Charlie was a picky eater and should have given you a heads up on what she would and wouldn't eat. Or, she could have brought something she knew Charlie would eat to save you the trouble. Sandra has a lot of audacity. Expecting you to apologize for her child being picky is wild. NTA. The second-hand embarrassment I am feeling from this audacity! Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.